They arrested me, and then they took me to a holding cell to a local nearby police station. The last time I saw the one guy from the Canadian Embassy, he said, "Well, this is the last time I'm going to come see you." He said, "I'll come see you every 3 months from now on."
Are there 3 or 4 ideas you could say, if you do this, it'll go better for you? Stay alive, or how to get along well in a Thai prison?
And she's like, "You're in jail in Thailand, and you're wondering when you can come back." Mice and sparrows could get in, and they could catch them and eat them and stuff for a little bit of meat.
Did you lose weight in there?
30 pounds. Being in Thai prison was one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. So.
Right.
Is it when you're living like that, it really changes your outlook on things and makes things real.
So when we met the other night, you mentioned that you'd spent time in a Thai prison, which
Yes.
blew me away because you didn't seem like the kind of characters that I've seen in the movies that are in Thai prisons. I didn't know they're not tattoos all over your face.
And now we have a lot of
and
questions.
so how long were you in prison, and what was the craziest thing that you saw?
I probably can't talk about the craziest thing I saw.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry,
Yeah,
because I can tell you all kinds of stuff about in there, but I can't really talk about what was in there because I could get in trouble here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if it's on YouTube. Or no, what was in the prison.
Oh,
Or what the things went on in there.
Oh, okay.
Like
Okay.
I'll tell you all kinds of crazy stuff in
Okay.
there.
And so did they feed you, or did you have to bring your own food? 'Cause some countries, if you're in prison, you have to.
Yeah,
people have to
they
bring you
supplied food. It was rice and cucumber soup 3
Okay.
times a day, whether you wanted it or not.
Right.
And I'm not talking nicely flavored cucumbers.
Of course not.
The reason that you went to the jail that you can share here?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
share the reason why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a 6-month visa. I'd been here over 4 months, almost 5 months.
Right.
I'd overlooked the part where I was supposed to check in every 60 days.
Okay.
I was just touring around, having fun, and
Right.
doing my thing. And then when I went to leave, I was at the airport, going through immigration, and they're like, "Oh, your visa's no good." And I'm like, "No, right there. It's good for like almost another month." And they're like, "No." And it's no good. And they're like 20,000 baht. I'm like, "It's a scam." I'd never heard of this, And it's like, they want me to leave the country, but plane leaves in less than an hour. They're not going to make me miss my flight. Well, I got to see the underside of the airport and all kinds of places that most people don't get to see. It was kind of interesting, but...
So they send you to 3 weeks. Was that based on the amount of time?
No, what happened was, that was early Saturday morning, and they arrested me, and then they took me to a holding cell to a local nearby police station. They brought in an interpreter the next day, and she explained everything to me. It actually was quite funny when the interpreter was talking to me, because she explained everything and what I'd done wrong. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, now I know."
What
And
you have done wrong?
yeah, I didn't know
Overstayed his visa.
Overstay
Yeah,
the visa, not checking.
Well,
Not checking.
My visa was still good, but I hadn't done my 60-day check-in.
60-day check-in.
Yeah.
And it was a 6-month tourist visa.
Right.
And she laughed at me because when she explained everything, like, I was relieved, like, okay, now I know, and I said, "When can I come back?" And she's like, "You're in jail in Thailand, and you're wondering when you can come back." And she said, "Most people don't want to come back at this point." This was on Sunday, and she said, "Tomorrow morning, you'll go to court," and she said, "You'll plead guilty. You'll pay a 2,000 baht fine if you have 2,000 baht." And I said, "Yeah, I have 2,000 baht." And she said, then you're free to go. And I'm like, right on, So I went to court, pled guilty, paid my fine, and then they took me back to a cell. I thought I was free, and they're like, "No, you have to be deported because you're a criminal." And I'm like, "Well, if I'm a criminal, when can I come back?" And they're like, "Oh, you can just," like, one guard I was talking to about it, he's like, "Oh, your flight's going through Japan." He's like, "Just jump plane and come in Japan and come back." He said, "You just need to leave the country."
That's all.
Like, the rules have really changed since then.
Yeah, none of this is guaranteed to happen again. Every case is different.
Yeah,
but
and
we're just telling your story.
Yeah, like now it's like a 500 baht fine a day, and went for overstay, and then just go. And then if it's more than 90 days or something, you can't come back for a certain period of time. But back then it was harsher in some ways, but easier to come back. I had one guard, he would, we talked lots about me coming back, and he said, "Yeah, just jump plane in Japan and come back and visit me," and but not like this. But the guards, like when I was in holding cells and police stations, were really nice. Like, They let me in my cell phone and stuff. The reason why I was in there so long is I had to wait to be deported. I'd given the Canadian Embassy money to buy a ticket. They took like 2.5 weeks.
To buy the ticket?
To buy the ticket.
Wow.
And like they'd come see me once in a while in the detention center. And the last time I saw the one guy from the Canadian Embassy, he said, well, this is the last time I'm going to come see you. He said, I'll come see you every 3 months from now on. And I'm like, I gave you money to buy me a plane ticket. It takes like 2 minutes to buy a plane ticket. You know,
Right,
it means,
right.
well, we're trying to get you a deal. And it's like, I really don't care about the deal. I want out. You know, like,
So it means that if he buy you the ticket today, you can fly out today.
yeah. Well, I had to be, I had to be in custody until I was on the plane.
Oh, so they, deported means they take you to the plane.
Yeah, they
police escort you.
They actually escorted me onto the plane.
Okay.
But it was actually kind of funny because my flight left like real early in the morning, and they took a bus full of us to the airport.
Right.
And there was 2 of us that were friends in jail that our flights were leaving in a few hours, so they didn't put us in a holding cell at the airport. But everybody else went to this holding cell, and the 2 of us were up in the airport with guards. At one point, the other guy, they couldn't find him. They said to me, like, where is he? Like, we're worried. And they're all serious, and I'm like, oh, he's over in that store over there. And I said, I'll go get him. Went over there, got him, brought him back, and they're like, oh, okay. Anyway, we're getting really bored because we're just wandering around the airport, but we had to stay within sight of security, or our guards all the time.
Right.
And then we went into this one store for a little bit, and came out and we couldn't find the guards, and we're panicking
Where are our guards?
it was a hilarious story. But like we'd talked to them and told them, you know, like, we want to get on those planes more than you want us on those planes. Like, we're not trying to get away. And I guess they finally figured out that we weren't a flight risk, you know. But
That's great.
then I don't know what they did. I don't know.
So you got on the plane without seeing the guards again?
Oh no! Later, like closer to my flight time,
They showed up?
Yeah, they showed up.
Okay.
So I think they went to sleep somewhere or something.
So, were you in a different kind of prison than the ones I see on TV, or why, or was it actually a little tougher than maybe you're hinting?
Actually, the one guy that I was friends with, he was from the USA. He had done, I think it was 2 years and 10 months in like hardcore Thai prison, but he said that was actually better than where we were.
Oh,
because
the conditions.
Because he said like there mice and sparrows could get in and they could catch them and eat them and stuff for a little bit of meat and things like that.
Wow.
And
Crazy.
and like
Did you feel in danger at all when you were in the prison?
I can't really answer that.
Oh, okay. So maybe you can answer this. Are there 3 or 4 ideas you could say, if you do this, it'll go better for you? Like just ideas about how to, if you will, stay alive or how to get along well in a Thai prison?
Be very submissive.
Submissive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially with the guards.
Okay.
And listen to anything they tell you to do. Like it's like you don't question it.
Right.
Like-
Just immediately respond.
Yeah.
Okay. And anything else, like
Try and make friends with lots of people in there.
with less people?
With lots of people.
With lots of people.
Like it was easy for me because Canadians are generally well liked. And,
Okay.
I was the only Canadian in there at the time. I guess one had been taken out a couple days before I got there, but everybody was like, "Hey, another Canada," you know.
Yeah.
And like I made all kinds of friends in there, but everybody just called me Canada. Like most people, you just called by their country name.
Was it mostly other Thai locals there, or was it foreigners? What was the demographic?
It was all foreigners in there.
All foreigners. So it was
foreigners.
all immigration problem.
Yeah, it was Immigration Detention Center. I forget the name of it now. But,
Okay. And were they a rough bunch, would you say, or they
Somewhere.
just made mistakes somewhere?
Somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dumbasses like me in there, but some of them had been through the system several times. Like when they first transported me there, they put me in a holding cell before they put me up in the big room, and there's a guy from Czechoslovakia there, or former Czechoslovakia, and we're talking, and he's like, "Oh, you want to get into this room? You have to hope you get put in that room because it's nicer than some of the others." I'm like, and he'd been through the system like 6-7 times.
Right.
And and like his girlfriend was bringing him food and stuff, and he gave me an apple at one point, and I said, no, it's okay. And he said, trust me, take it. He said, because he said, you'll be wishing you'd taken it in a couple days if you're not out here. So,
Right.
but, and he was right.
You take the apple.
Oh yeah. And
So did you lose weight in there in
30 pounds.
30 pounds? In how long?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
30 pounds, 10 pounds a week.
It was,
Were you dehydrated too, or is that
no, there's lots of water to
lots
drink.
of water? Wow, so that's not, it wasn't dehydration.
No, it was not eating, because like cucumber soup and rice 3 times a day. Like our Western bodies are used to taking in so much and just shitting it out. And but the Asians that were in the room, like there's one guy in there from China. He'd been in there 10 years, and because probably spent the rest of his life in there, and because he was a wanted criminal in China. And so China obviously isn't going to pay to bring him back. The Thai government doesn't want to let him go, so he'd been in there 10 years, but he was the picture of health. And there's a lot of other Asians in there too that were the picture of health. But this guy from China was amazing, because heard his story, and he still had a smile, and he'd been in that room for 10 years.
Wow.
And it was just, and all he had was a pair of underwear in it. They didn't look that old, but so somebody must have left them for him, but that's all he had, like a pair of underwear. Like he didn't have any clothes to wear in there. Like
Wow, wow.
But it was really, I met a lot of interesting people in there and made some friendships. And
And so that was in 2015?
2015.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you first come to Thailand?
About 11, 12 years ago. Best place in the world. Being in Thai prison was one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. So.
Right.
Is that when you're living like that, it really changes your outlook on things and makes things real. You know, like so many of my friends, they want to have the biggest, fastest cars,
Right.
big fancy SUVs
Yeah.
and campers and,
Right, yeah.
and stuff. And when I got out of there, I was just like had lived with nothing for 3 weeks.
Right.
And like wondered from day to day how long I was going to be in there, and
Right.
with nothing to do except talk to each other.
Right,
And
right.
it just changed my way of looking at the world and thinking about things. And
So
Just-
was it sort of your mind cleared, that kind of thing?
yeah, you know, it just
It's all the distractions you would have in normal
Yeah.
daily life weren't there.
Yeah.
All the things that would take you away from quiet contemplation weren't there, and so you were stuck
yeah,
living in your life, if you will,
yeah.
and living in conversations with other people.
Like all I had to do all day was talking to new people in the room and hearing about their life in the world and stuff like that. And,
Right.
And we were all in there for the same reason. There's a few that were in there for more serious offenses, waiting to be deported. But,
Right.
it just really changed my whole outlook on life.
So you mentioned friends wanting things. Did this thing that you've learned about yourself, was it like you felt less materialistic, it sounds
Yes, in many ways.
like? And so the joy of the simple moment
Yeah.
suddenly
It-
was more satisfying to you?
Yeah, like, because when you have your freedom taken away and you have absolutely nothing, like not even good food.
Or even choice of location,
Yeah.
or
And, you know, it just kind of put everything in life in perspective.
right. So it made you appreciate life?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Like, especially for first while getting out, like everything was
Slow motion?
a thrill, you know. Like I could have a Coke, you know. Wow, like this is the best Coke I've ever had, you know. Like,
So would you recommend overstaying your visa to people?
I would recommend time in a Thai prison.
You would?
Yeah,
You would?
yeah,
Wow. As sort of a self-awareness thing?
yes. Like it just.
It sounds almost like Buddhism.
Yeah, maybe, but it just like it literally changed my life for the better. Like in many ways, it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life.
So would you say you had more moment-to-moment joy
Yes.
and less stress?
Well, not right now. But yes, like especially for the first couple years afterwards, you know, like that was when it was so fresh in my mind.
Right.
Like yeah, I enjoyed everything much more, appreciated everything much more.
Right.
And now I'm getting more out of that, but I still have that with me partially. And like, and I have no grudge against the Thai government because I screwed up, you know. I did my time. Well, checked the Canadian Embassy for leaving me in there so long to get me a plane ticket. But at the same time, I shouldn't be, because I should thank them for that, because it changed my outlook on life.
Right.
So
It reminds me of, I went broke for the first time when I was, this will sound stupid, but when I was like 20 years old, and I lost everything. And I had a couple of businesses running, and suddenly I lost it all in a recession, or in the recession, the 1981 recession in the US. And not having anything, like even my car was repossessed, that was kind of that was an awakening for me of sorts, because my whole personality was based on my possessions, if you know what I mean. And that sort of was an awakening for me. It sounds like you had a similar sort of...
and like the last few years that I worked in Canada, I drove truck off-road and in the oil field, and I lived in the truck. And a lot of guys I worked with are like, how can you do that? And I said, I have no living expenses. Everything I make goes into the bank.
Right.
My expenses are like my food, beer, smokes, and my cell bill.
Yeah.
Everything else goes into the bank.
Right.
And, you know, and they're like, I couldn't do it. And I'm thinking, there's time in my life where I would have loved to, like, it sucked, don't get me wrong, living in the back of a Peterbilt. But compared to Thai prison, it was like 5-star hotel. And it was just...
You could have a Coke.
Yeah, I could have a Coke. I could even have a beer. And I had a nice soft bed to sleep on. I had flat screen TV, microwave, like everything I wanted in there. So
there's a lot of people, you probably know this, in the U.S., probably Canada too, that are they're living van life, if you will. Some of them are in very expensive vans. Some are just in self-built vans, but it's a way of reducing in their expenses. So they could save and travel, or save and buy a house, or save and retire, whatever it is.
It's a smart thing to do.
It's become quite popular. So
that's basically what I was doing, except I was doing it in a $300,000 Peterbilt.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Click the link in the notes below this video to get a copy of this content. Plus, grab a free copy of my ebook, How I Fired My Boss and Traveled the World for 13 Years. While you're there, check out our catalog of retired cheap reports all over the world, and our hobby income course that we just released. Thanks so much.